Hi everybody. I'm just going to make a video to go over the second method for solving systems of equations. So type 2 is called substitution method. So the first one was by graphing. So this is if you're not given a graph. Um, so as you can see, I kind of already wrote in like the definitions and whatnot. So I'll go ahead and highlight those so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So a method of solving systems of equations. By substituting equations within one another. So basically we're going to take one equation and we're going to plug it into the other one and solve. Okay, so to do that, step one, solve the equation, solve one of them for x or y. So you want it to be x equals or y equals, just one of the equations. Okay, that's step one. And then you're going to take what it equals and you're going to substitute it into the other equation and solve for the variable. So if you're plugging in for y, you're going to solve for x and so on. And this will make more sense once I go through and actually show you an example. Step 3 is to substitute your answer. So once you get x equals or y equals down to one number, you're going to take that and you're going to substitute it into the other equation, and then you're going to solve for the other variable. Okay? So again, it's going to make more sense once I go through a few examples here. All right, I'm going to go through one with you, 4, 5, 7, and 9. Hopefully I can do that in one video. If not, I will post another video quickly just to wrap up what I was talking about. All right, so for these, as you can see, they're both y equals. Okay, so for number one, this is y equals, and this one is y equals. Okay, so they're both set up where one variable is by itself. So this one's probably one of the easier ones we're going to deal with when it comes to substitution. So in that case, since this is what y equals for this one. Okay, I'm going to take it and I'm going to plug it into the other equation for y. So we're going to substitute it into the other equation for y. So I'm going to rewrite this. So I'm going to look at this bottom equation right here. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it using the 4x minus 1. So I'm going to take the 4x minus 1 and I'm going to plug it into the bottom equation for y, because it's what y equals. Okay, come on, pen. Let's see. See if it's going to give me a hard time today. Probably, of course it is. Why wouldn't it? All right, I'm sure you guys love my commentary. 2x minus 5. Okay, so that is, let's see if I can move this over a little bit. Just so we have more room. Okay, so then now you just need to solve it. So in this case, you're going to want to get the variables on one side. So talking about my variables, I am talking about, let's see, I'm talking about my x and my x. Okay, so I want to get them on one side. So it doesn't matter if you want to move the 4 to the right side or the 2 to the left side, doesn't matter, your preference. But I am just going to move the 2. So right now it's a positive 2, so I'm going to make it a, all right, of course the pen. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 2 because right now it's positive, and I'm going to subtract 2 from this side as well. Okay, so then when I do that, those ones cancel. 4 minus 2, 4x's minus 2x's gives me 2x. Again, just bring down the 1 and then bring down the negative 5. And now we're down to a two-step equation. So when we discussed these in class, we would do move your friends and then move your family. So in this case, you want to move the negative 1. Okay, so it's a negative 1, so you got to make it a positive 1. So you're going to add 1 to both sides. Okay, these cancel. Bring down your 2x equals negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. All right, if you're unsure, don't just guess, just type it in your calculator. I'm sure you have one on your phone. You can type it in on your Chromebook. If you just Google a calculator, one will pop up for you. All right, and then the last step here, so we moved our friends, now we need to move our family. So we need to move this 2 away from the x. Right now they're being multiplied. So that tells me you need to divide by 2, and then again, divide by 2. All right, so for this one then, these would cancel. X equals negative 4 divided by 2 gives you negative 2. So that's what your x equals for this one. Okay, I'm gonna make that a little bit better here. Okay, So x equals, oh my goodness, this is going to drive me insane. All right, x equals -2. That's much better. Okay, so then now that we know what x equals, I'm going to erase this up here so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Now I know what x equals. I'm going to switch up colors here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it into one of the original equations. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which one. So I'm going to take it back to this first one and I'm going to plug it in. It's what x equals, so I'm going to plug it in for x. So over here, I'm going to do y equals 4, parentheses, I'm going to plug in what x is. Okay, so in this case, it's -2, -2, and then you have -1. Okay, so I basically just took this -2 and I plugged it in for x, and now I just need to solve it. So the first thing you want to do is 4 times -2. Okay, again, you can just plug that in your calculator if you want. 4 times -2 is going to give you y equals, it's going to give you -8, and then you're just going to bring down the -1. Okay, and then when I do the rest of the math here, I'm just going to do -8 minus 1. Okay, so if I'm at -8 on the number line and I go -1 more, that's going to put me at y equals -9. Okay, so those are your two answers. And then we do want to write these as an ordered pair. So in this case, you got to write your x first, because remember, x comma y. All right, so I'm going to take my x, so I have -2 and then -9. And then that would be your final answer for that one. All righty. All right, so I'm going to jump down and I'm going to do number 4 with you. Okay, so it's going to be basically the same thing. So you kind of want to look and see if you have any variables that stand alone. Okay, so in this case, we have an x that stands alone here. All right, so with this one, I want to look at what x equals. So in this case, x equals 4y plus 7. In the other equation, I want to substitute that in just for the x. So you're just going to rewrite the equation and you're going to substitute the x with the top equation. So in this case, we are going to do, okay, so you have your 2, and then we have our x. So in this case, I'm going to plug in the 4y plus 7, okay, and then you're just going to rewrite the rest of the equation. So the rest of the equation was 6y equals 12, okay? So then now you just need to solve it. So this is just a multi-step equation. So you need to take your 2 times your 4y, so that's going to give you, one second, that's going to give you 8y, all right? And then you're going to do 2 times a positive 7, and that's just going to give you 14. And then you're just going to bring down the 6y and your 12, okay? And then now you need to combine your like terms, because I have an 8y and a -6y on the same side. So this one, you just do what it says. So what's 8 minus 6? That gives me 2 y's when I combine it. Bring down your 14 and bring down your 12. Okay. Sorry, just trying to give myself a little bit more room here for you guys. Okay, so then now you're down to a two-step equation. So move your friends. So in this case, got to move that positive 14. Opposite of a positive 14 is a -14. All right, so then I'm left with 2y equals 12 minus 14 is going to be -2 here. All right, and then you want to divide by the 2 because it is being multiplied. So we got to move our family here. So divide by 2, divide by 2. Okay, so then y equals -2 divided by 2 gives you -1. Okay, so that is one of my answers. So then now you need to take that and we need to plug it back in to this original equation up here. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to plug it into this top one. Okay, so you just want to replace the y, so we're going to substitute this y in for the y in the top equation. So to do that, I'm going to rewrite it. So I have x equals, let me switch colors here. equals, all right, 4, because that's part of the equation, and I'm going to replace the y with the negative 1 that we just found down on the bottom, and then plus 7. Okay, and then now you just need to solve it, okay? So your first step is going to be to multiply the 4 and the negative 1. So that's going to leave you with x equals negative 4 plus 7. All right, and then our last step here is going to be negative 4 plus 7. So x equals, when I do negative 4 plus 7, you should get 3. Okay, why are you being a pain? Equals 3. Okay, so those are our two answers. Okay, but then don't forget, we have to write our answers as an ordered pair. So it's got to look like this, all right? So I'm going to take that. You're going to write your x first. So in this case, I'm going to write my 3 first, and then my y was negative 1. So then my answer for this one would be 3, negative 1. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and put two more, or the remaining 3 examples on a different video, just so I don't get cut off. All right. So stay tuned.